Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the post-noon session of iTech program day 7. We have Mr. Satish Shah with us. He'll be delivering talk on the topic coal and its embodied energy. Mr. Satish Shah is Energy Area General Manager in Northern Coalfields Limited. He has expertise in overall administration of open cast and underground mine operation planning, execution and management. He has more than 30 years of experience in overall administration, project planning, operation, and management in highly mechanized mines of NCL and Southeastern Coalfields Limited, including experience of mining planning at Central Mine Planning and Design Institute Limited, a prestigious subsidiary company of Coal India Limited. He is a recipient of SECL summon and certificate of appreciation from Minister of Coal and Excellent Operation of long wall and short wall phases. Also, he was awarded for successfully planning and extracting intermine barrier coal logged up between Amlohi and Negahi mines for the first time in NCL. With this, I would request Mr. Satish Shah to please start the lecture. The speaker will join us soon. Till the time, I will request the participants to please be patient.
Very good afternoon, friends. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Audible. So, with due permission, can I proceed now and share my presentation?
Yes, sir, you can start, sir.
Okay.
इसमें ये वर्ड खुला सर,
जस्ट इसको तो ज्वाइन करना होगा ना. This has to be shared.
तो कुछ और ही दिख रहा है सर. एक सेकंड देखता हूँ. ये पूरा बंद ही हो गया.
जो मैं क्लिक कर रहा हूँ.
ये खुला सर, जो मैं क्लिक कर रहा हूँ. ये मीटिंग नहीं दिख रहा है.
यहाँ ज्वाइन करें. So finally, I think I have been connected. There's an echo. May I request that anybody whose mic is on, kindly mute it. Okay. Yes. Shivangi.
Logged in from two devices.
Is it so?
Yes, sir. Because I'm able to see you twice here. Participant.
1 minute, stop sharing. वो जो हम लोगों का हिडन हुआ ना, पूरा ही बंद हो गया ना सर.
नहीं, ठीक है, तो है तो यहाँ. ओके, अब है.
हाँ, इसमें शेयर स्क्रीन कर.
हाँ, शेयर करो.
ये अनम्यूट, ठीक है. शेयर स्क्रीन, ये शेयर, ये अभी से देखिए.
Yeah, with due apologies, am I audible and the screen is shared?
Yes, sir.
Am Should I proceed now,
Yes, sir.
Shivang?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It's a lot of time and connectivity issues. Okay. So we are to discuss in the next 1 hour regarding coal. And just a month ago, you might have heard in the national media also that there is a scarcity or there is a criticality in coal supplies, and many of the cities would go under blackout. Although that was not true, uh, there was no crisis, but there was stock, or you can say stock at the mines, but not at the pithead power plants. And the main contribution for that was the rise in international coal prices, as well as the last 1.5 years COVID-19 pandemic situation. The coal plants were not, thermal power plants were not getting their due revenues, and they decided to maintain at a lower stock position. And suddenly, when the demand went up, the coal supplies from the mines to the pithead power plants took time until that time was done. And one thing we must appreciate, that in this time of crisis, the Ministry of Railways, the Ministry of Coal, and the Ministry of Power in India, in a joint consultative manner, solved the issue. So I would begin my presentation, which you can see here, that coal, one of the fossil fuels, still today enjoys 27% globally its primary energy need. The 40% of the world's electricity generation is accounted by coal, and 70% of world steel production is taken care by coal. If you see the Indian perspective, 55% of the primary energy need of the nation is met by coal, and total electricity generation share, that is the thermal electricity, is about 75% of the total electricity generated in the country. And if I may add lignite to this, it accounts for around 79%. Now, just a brief background about coal. Basically, it is a chemically and physically heterogeneous combustible sedimentary rock, and found below the earth crust, which we mine basically by two systems: underground mining or open cast mining. And organically, it consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and very lesser amounts of sulfur and nitrogen. It is the most abundant fossil fuel in the world, and the total world coal reserves as on 31st December is around 1156 billion ton, out of which 319 or 320 billion ton is the Indian coal reserve. And on an oil equivalent basis, if you compare coal, it is approximately twice as much recoverable coal in the world presently than as oil and natural gas combined. So thus you can see, in the perspective of the reserves available and its cost, that coal has been and will still continue to be a major economic or energy resource. As I said, it is found down deep below the earth crust in the form of seams, which have over 1,000,000 years back formed due to decay of vegetation, and which has undergone physical and chemical changes. And it differs throughout the world in kinds of the plant materials which got deposited and which have been differently classified in different countries according to the rank of the coal and according to the range of impurities included, which we call the grade of coal. The qualification process in simple has been shown in this slide, that the geochemical process that transforms plants into the coal is called the qualification process. The initial step is in the form of a pit. It gets, over a year, it gets converted into lignite, subbituminous, bituminous, and the anthracite. It is the highest grade coal with higher percentage of carbon. This table shows the process of formation of high quality coal right from vegetation up to anthracite. The post-process name is there, and the main chemical reactions which the coal undergoes is shown in the third column. This is basically to know when coal is used, what you can expect as a byproduct or as a flue gas in the thermal power plants, or as a residual or the slag in the boilers. So just a brief idea so that one can assimilate his thoughts that what we are about when we burn coal, what we can get in the flue gas or in the slag in the boilers. What are the different uses of coal? Basically, and world over, it is used in generating electricity, production of steel. The coke plants world over are used for manufacturing of coke and used in steel plants. Industries, which use it as a source of heat or energy, like cement, fertilizers, etc. And in gasification and liquefaction also, that we convert directly from the solid to gaseous state. The syngas, which we use normally, is as a source of energy further, or the liquids also. And domestic use, over the years, it has gone down, but previously it used to hold a major share. Generating electricity, as in simple words, you can say that it is used in thermal power generation, which helps to produce electricity. It is burnt at high temperature which further turns water into steam, and this steam is used to rotate the turbines at high speeds in a strong magnetic field. Just basic idea of how coal gets converted into electricity. Production of steel, coal is used indirectly to make steel. That coal is baked in furnaces, which we call coke oven plants. Once this is formed, manufacturers use coal coke to smelt iron ore into iron and make steel. Other industries are cement, paper, aluminum, chemical, and pharma industry. The coal provides numerous raw materials like benzol, coal tar, sulfate of ammonia, creosote, etc. to the chemical industries. And it is mostly used as a source of energy in most of the industries. Gasification and liquefaction are two of the main processes in view of the greenhouse gas effects, and for a cleaner technology, India and world over, people are turning to go in for gasification and liquefaction, but the energy conversion ratio is still not very encourageable, and many of these plants or the products which we get is commercially not viable. That's why it has not taken off in a large scale. R&D are still going on, And maybe in future, gasification and liquefaction of coal may be the main technology for use. As you can see here, that it is turned into synthetic gas, which is a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. These gases are then an intermediate product, which can be further converted into different products like urea, methanol, pure hydrogen, and more. However, these chemicals produced from coal are used primarily to make other products. And besides most of the products out there in the market, coal or coal byproducts as components, and some of them include, you can see aspirins, solvents, soap, dyes, plastics, fibers, etc. It also has a role in coal in specialized products such as activated carbons, carbon fiber, and silicon metals. The main technologies which are used for coal utilization has been classified into the four: coal combustion, carbonization, gasification, and liquefaction. As you can see here, that burning coal to generate heat is the most straightforward way of using coal. And the chemistry of coal combustion, as it's known, that it can be burnt in a large fixed bed or on a grate, smaller crushed pieces in a fluidized bed, or as a very fine particle in suspensions. Similarly, the pulverized coal, here you can see the pulverized or coal which has been crushed approximately in the form of a powder. And when the volatile matter in the coal is removed by heating and the 1 minute just. The next is the char combustion. Where you can have the following chemical conversions from carbon to oxygen reactions, as can be seen on this slide, as well as the oxidation of the non-carbon atoms. And this is followed by the formation of carbon monoxide and hydrogen, a syngas. And these are used in different industries. Which is in the order, the pulverized coal at furnace temperatures have shown that the porous char, the density of the char changes. You can have different density of char at different temperatures. So you can use it as per your requirement also. The coal combustion systems are basically classified into three types. One is the overfeed or the underfeed and the crossfeed. This is nothing but in the manner in which coal is burned, and the devices in which it is burned are primarily determined by the desired size or capacity and the coal type and quality. The combustion methods, mostly fixed bed or the fluidized bed, and the suspension firings are few which we will discuss in the coming up slides. The fluidized bed combustion, this is used, the chemical reactions which undergoes here, limestone and heat as you can see, covers a wide variety of applications. This method covers wide variety of applications, including the domestic heaters, which we are used earlier, the underground gasification, and the industrial stokers, which were use fixed bed combustion. The fluidized bed combustion later on became a technology for combustion of all the fossil fuels and other fuels because of the several inherent advantages it had over the conventional combustion systems, which we earlier discussed. And these advantages included the fuel flexibility, the input which you could provide, and low NOx emissions. And you had a control over the SO2 emissions also. So this later on developed fluidized bed combustion. And this technology is used both the utility and non-utility sectors and comprises mostly of fossil fuel fired capacities. We have, in general, the sorbents also used in a fixed bed combustion or the fluidized bed combustion processes. Coming on to the next method is the suspension firing. Suspension firing, either it is dry bottom firing, wet bottom firing, or in the cyclone furnaces. The pulverized coal is injected into the boilers and can be, where the stokers, they can be accommodate virtually any coal with proper design provisions. You can pulverize any quality of coal. The coal size distribution for pulverized coal fired units are less than approximately 2% by weight, greater than 50 mesh size. The size of the pulverized coal, just to give you an idea, it is less than 50 mesh size with 65 to 70% of less than 200 mesh size. After the coal is pulverized, it is pneumatically transported to the burners. In the air flow or the compressed airs, it is pneumatically transported into the burners using portion of the combustion air, and 10% of the total combustion air approximately, in a manner that permits stable ignition. It has effective control of the flame shape and travel, and through complete mixing of fuel and air. All these are so designed that the heat generated by combustion of coal is maximum utilized in heating of the water, so that maximum heat is transmitted into the steam, and all the steam generated is used for generation of electricity. Similarly, the other system is the dry bottom firing, and the third is wet bottom firing. All these are different firing methods, and lastly are the cyclone types, and these are developed over the years, with best being the cyclone furnaces, which has maximum utility, or the, so that maximum enthalpy of the coal is trapped and used for steam generation. Coming on to carbonization, it is the process by which coal is heated and volatile products, whether gaseous and liquid, are driven off, leaving a solid residue called char or coke. It is basically divided into high temperature operations when it is carried out under 1650°F at a temperature more than that, and low temperature operations if they are conducted below 1350°F, and between 1350 to 1650 it is termed as medium temperature operations. Gasification, as we discussed earlier, that am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, you are audible.
Shivangi, am I audible now? I'm not getting a feedback.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. So gasification mostly deals with the process to upgrade the solid coal. It is difficult because transporting long distance any coal and to get a result out there, if we can remove the undesirable impurities within the coal and convert it into a gaseous form, which can be purified and used directly as a fuel, or further it is reacted to produce other gaseous or liquid fuels or even chemicals. There are, of course, many reasons in the interest of gasification for utilizing coal. Mostly carbonization of coal to produce coal gas is a relatively simple process, as we discussed in the carbonization process, to perform, and it is done in a retort in the absence of air. The composition of the gas being produced varies mostly depending on the coal, but it is typically comprised of hydrogen and methane with minor amounts of nitrogen, carbon monoxide, ethylene, and carbon dioxide. The gas yield is varying here according to the quality of coal. It will vary. Different quality of coal will have different gas yields. Bituminous coal, about for a bituminous coal which is abundant in India, we have about 20% of the weight of the coal which is converted to gas. The gas produced by simple burning, mostly in our conditions in India, we call it normally producer gas. And when the bituminous coal is used, it varies, as I said, 20 to 25% of the weight of the original gas. And it has 55 to 60% of nitrogen, 2 to 8% of the carbon dioxide, and 3 to 5% hydrocarbons. The gasifier, which are the retort or the gasifiers which we use normally on the, are classified on the basis of the method which is used to bring the coal into contact with the gasifying medium. And they are classified as fixed bed, fluidized bed, and entrained flow systems. There are different gasifiers, and the fixed bed gasifier around it will give you 1/4 to 2 inch coal which is further pulverized, and it is given in an ascending stream or gasifying medium. So different gasifiers have different introduction of the method of injecting the pulverized coal into their retort, or you can say the gasifier. In the combustion zone, simple reaction, oxygen reacts with the char and it is under high temperature. The ash removed from the bottom of the gasifier almost is similar to the boiler slag, either in the dry form in the temperature or in the gasifier. It is controlled with excess stream to maintain the temperature below the ash fusion point. Next is fluidized bed gasifier. The coal, which is crushed to less than 1.18 to 1/4 of an inch in size, enters the side of the reactor and is kept suspended by the gasifying medium. It is in a suspended form and similar to the fluidized bed combustor, mixing and heat transfers are rapid in this case also, resulting in uniform composition and temperature throughout the bed. It is a slightly improved version of the earlier method. And in the entrained flow gasifier, you have pulverized core less than, you can say, very fine 0.005 inch. And it is in the gasifying medium, it is in co-current flow in a high temperature flame. The coal properties has an influence, or you can say affects the gasification properties like moisture, ash percentage, volatile matter can add, as volatile matter can add to the products of gasification. The volatile matter, which varies from less than 5%. Similarly, fixed carbon, which is the major component of the char after the moisture and volatile matter are driven off, the caking tendencies. It also affects the gasification process. Strongly caking and swelling or weakly caking, non-caking must be considered while injecting into the gasifier or the design of the gasifier. Or ash fusion temperature is a measure of when the ash will melt and transform from a solid to a liquid state. This temperature is very important from the design and operation of the gasification system. Thus, it has to be kept in mind. Otherwise, it directly converts into the, as we will go on to liquefaction process. The coal size limits are important for the gasifier system design considerations. In the fixed bed gasification system, as we discussed earlier, we need to have fines that are generated from mining also, transportation or processing. Because when we mine, transport or process, during that process also too many fines are generated. They may include steam or power generation or briquetting, which we normally use, extrusions or injections to allow them to be supplied to the fixed bed gasifier. A few examples are by the name of the developers, Lurgi gasifier, a German who had designed it. BGL gasifier, it is a fixed bed gasifier. It was developed way back in 1970s to provide the syngas with high methane content. HTW gasifier is again a German gasifier. It was also developed during 1920s, way back in 1920s, to generally utilize coal with small particle size. Mostly the Germans had developed these gasifiers. There's again a Shell gasifier. So in general, the coal, it is hydrogenated here, and the synthetic fuel industry mostly uses this syngas, etc., for its consumption. Coming on to liquefaction, it is the conversion of coals into liquid products. Mostly it is categorized into three methods. It is the pyrolysis, indirect liquefaction, and direct liquefaction. In the indirect liquefaction, it is known by the name of Fischer-Tropsch synthesis. It is the conversion of carbon monoxide and hydrogen to liquid hydrocarbons and related oxygenated compounds. The Fischer-Tropsch synthesis provides almost all hydrocarbons conventionally obtained from petroleum also. But the energy conversion efficiency in oil or petroleum is much more than what we get from liquefaction of coal. That's why it has an upper hand. The actual product mix depends on the temperature, pressure, or the CO/H2 ratio, and the catalyst used during this whole process. Medium pressure synthesis, if conducted at around 640 degree Fahrenheit, also yields mainly gasoline or diesel oils or heavier paraffins. The proportion of gasoline in the product mix increases and gasoline quality improves as the hydrogen to carbon monoxide ratio in the feed gas is increased, and the overall product composition is influenced by the type of reactor, and the whole high pressure synthesis is conducted between around 300 degree Fahrenheit and at a pressure of around 1000 atm, and lithium catalysts are used during this whole chemical reactions. In the direct liquefaction, it was also developed way back in 1930, and it involves reacting pulverized coal or coal oil slurries, pulverized coal, or either you mix it with oil with the gaseous hydrogen at high pressure and temperature. It was extensively used in Germany during the World War and thus gained immense importance in those era between the 1930 to 1940, 50s. You have over the years, the solvent refined coal process is also considered, where least complex of various process schemes, hydrogenated coal in the SRC process, you dry the coal, which is fed to the reactor as a slurry, transport liquid, and the process solvent is distillation fraction recovered from the hydrogenated coal product and serves as hydrogen donor. So SRC process further purifies the output. And these are generally used by Gulf Oil also. You have one H coal process, which is where pulverized coal is slurried with recycled oil and along with hydrogen fed to an bed reactor. It is a bubbling bed reactor, a feature that distinguishes this process from others. That's why it is named as H-coal process. Reactor conditions are normally in the range of 870 degree Fahrenheit, and so the reactor contains a bed of catalytic particles, mostly cobalt, molybdate, or aluminum oxide. And this is a recent technology observed it in the 1990s when it changed its name. It has been changed its name to hydrocarbon technologies. The H-coal process has modified its process known as HTI, that is direct coal liquefaction process. So the indirect liquefaction, the direct liquefaction process have been discussed, and these have not taken up on a large commercial scale. And in the years to come, these technologies, which are under pilot project and in many parts under R&D, they have a chance of taking up commercially. And apart from the power generation, steel industry, these are the areas where coal can contribute in the coming years. So with this, I come to the end of the presentation. Thank you. Shivangi, am I okay now? If any discussion is required regarding coal or its future prospects, or even if the mining part of it is concerned, I'll be happy to discuss.
Dear participants, if you have any query, you can ask it now. Sir, I think there is no questions. Thank you, sir, for your informative and insightful talk. I believe all the participants will be taking this learning to their respective fields. We truly
Hello.
appreciate your time here with us today. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
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 Hello. Yes.
Can I proceed to ask questions?
Actually, sir has left the meeting. You can drop your question in the chat box. We'll be giving that question to sir and giving the answer to you.
Okay.
Thank you.